My wife got everything in the divorce, our restaurant, my recipes, even my grandmother's knife collection. The judge said she was the business mind and I was just the cook. But she missed one thing. For 15 years, I'd been feeding something in a jar every morning at 5 a.m. She called it disgusting. 3 years later, she stood outside my food truck in the rain, begging for that jar as our restaurant bled money. This is how a container of bacteria became my greatest business asset. My name is Robert Hutchinson. I'm a chef, and this is how I learned that revenge really is a dish best served at exactly 78 degrees, the perfect temperature for bacterial fermentation. The lunch rush at Hutchinson's table was in full swing, but I wasn't inside cooking. I stood across the street next to my food truck, watching through the restaurant window as my ex-wife Amanda worked the room in her designer dress. That practiced smile fixed like expensive wallpaper. The smell hit me hard. My Carolina Gold hot sauce. 3 years of perfecting, drifting out whenever someone opened the door. My truck's metal surface was cold against my palm. 3 years since the divorce. 3 years since she got everything. A couple pushed through the door and I caught it. The woman's nose wrinkling, the man flagging down a server, the plate going back. Amanda's smile cracked for just a second before she glided over, damage control mode activated. Something was fundamentally wrong with the food. I knew it in my bones, the way you know your own child's cry. You can steal recipes. You can steal restaurants. Hell, you can even steal a man's future. But soul? That's non-transferable. My phone buzzed. Marcus, my old sous chef, still my eyes inside. 7th chef just quit. She's hemorrhaging money. Investors getting nervous. I typed back. Good. Because what Amanda never understood in 12 years of marriage was that the real secret wasn't in any recipe card or prep list. It was alive, bubbling in a temperature-controlled container in my apartment, fed every morning at 5 a.m. without fail for 15 years. She got the restaurant, the equipment, every written recipe, our James Beard reputation. But I kept the one thing that mattered, a mason jar of ugly, living history that looked like pond scum and smelled like money. 3 years ago, I was just a chef who loved his craft more than his own health. 16-hour days, hands permanently stained with turmeric, living for that moment when flavors sang in harmony. I trusted too much, questioned too little, and believed that good work spoke louder than good lawyers. I was catastrophically wrong. In Charleston's food scene, sometimes the person charming the critics matters more than the person charring the peppers. Amanda understood that game. I was still learning the rules when she'd already won. This is the story of how my biggest weakness became my greatest strength, and how 15 years of morning rituals saved my career. Every morning at 5 a.m., I'd slip out of bed like a thief to feed my fermentation culture. 15 years I'd kept that mother alive, the beating heart of my signature hot sauce. It looked like something dredged from a haunted swamp, but it was my legacy in a jar. That's genuinely revolting, Amanda said the first time she saw it, covering her nose. Can't you just buy starter like a normal person? This has 15 years of evolution. Wild bacteria from Charleston air. It's irreplaceable. She'd wrinkle her nose. You and your little rituals. This is why we need to modernize. Little rituals. That should have been my first red flag. When someone dismisses your foundations as little, they're already planning to demolish them. Marcus warned me about other flags. Chef, some of these vendor invoices look seriously inflated. Maybe review the books yourself? That's why I married a Wharton MBA, I'd laugh, blind as a cavefish. Amanda entered my life like clarified butter smooth, golden, essential. She could work a room like I worked a 6-burner range. After our wedding, she suggested putting everything in both names. Asset protection, she said. Her lawyer father agreed. Standard practice for hospitality businesses. Changes crept in like smoke under a door. After our James Beard nomination, she became co-owner instead of manager. Designer bags multiplied like fruit flies. Spa days transformed into networking investments. At charity galas, I'd catch fragments through the kitchen door. I practically run the place. Robert's a genius in the kitchen, but he needs direction on the business side. Just needs direction. Like I was a trained seal who could sauté. Miss Charlotte, who grew my Carolina Reapers in soil she'd blessed herself, would eye Amanda during deliveries. That woman's got hungry eyes, Bobby, the kind that's never full. But I was kitchen blind, focused only on the next perfect plate while Amanda handled everything else. She wasn't evil. That's what stings most. She genuinely believed she was the reason for our success. In her mind, I was just talent that needed packaging, like a prize thoroughbred that wins races but can't negotiate its own stud fees. "You're too attached to tradition," she'd say when I refused to compromise on ingredients. "We need to scale. Think franchise potential." The truth was uglier. She didn't want to scale our restaurant. She wanted to sell our soul, one compromise at a time until it was corporate-friendly and franchise-ready. My flaw wasn't trusting her. It was believing that love meant wanting the same things. I wanted to feed people. She wanted to feed her portfolio. Both are valid. They just don't mix, like oil and water, or marriage and ambition. But every morning, I kept feeding that culture, the one constant while everything else shifted beneath my feet. She served papers on Valentine's Day. Cosmic joke the night we were fully booked with proposals and anniversaries. I was plating her favorite dish when she walked into my kitchen during the rush. "We need to talk, now." The duck breast went cold. Marcus took over while she handed me the papers with manicured hands steady as a surgeon's. "Irreconcilable differences. My lawyer will call yours. On Valentine's Day? During service? It's just another day, Robert. That's your problem. Everything's too precious with you." Court was a massacre choreographed by lawyers. Amanda's attorney painted me as an obsessed workaholic who valued sauce over spouse, tradition over growth. The judge, thoroughly charmed by Amanda's tears and Chanel suit, bought every word. Mrs. Hutchinson built the business while Mr. Hutchinson remained isolated in the kitchen, her lawyer argued. She deserves the fruits of her strategic labor. My lawyer was competent, but outgunned. The financial audit seemed clean. Amanda's books were meticulous as a serial killer's. The settlement gave her the restaurant, citing her primary role in business development. I kept my personal items and a modest cash settlement. "Be gracious, Robert," Amanda said outside court. "You'll land somewhere excellent. Maybe this is your chance to explore molecular gastronomy." Molecular gastronomy. She never did understand what I did. I packed carefully. The fermentation culture went into a mason jar labeled kombucha. Amanda barely glanced at it. "Still dragging that science experiment around? Sentimental value. That's your problem. Too sentimental." Walking out for the last time, I heard her on the phone. "Yes, complete transfer Monday. All recipes, all processes documented. Southern Comfort Foods is very interested." 8 months later, in my studio apartment above a dry cleaner, I found the smoking gun by accident. Invoices stuck together with Duck Sauce Carolina Spice LLC, a vendor I'd apparently been buying from at triple market rate for 3 years. The address stopped my heart. Amanda's father's office building. Derek, my paralegal friend from culinary school, who'd gone into white-collar crime investigation, studied everything. "This is sophisticated embezzlement. 200,000 minimum, hidden in plain sight. Can we prove it? Not retroactively for the divorce. That ship sailed. But Robert, this is wire fraud. Federal crime. We can file charges. What's the point? She won. Maybe. But fraud has a long tail. Document everything going forward. And listen, I've been thinking about investing in restaurants. The market's ripe for authentic concepts. That night, feeding my culture, I made a decision. I wouldn't waste energy on the past. I'd build something new, something protected. But this time I'd keep receipts. Every detail, I promised my bubbling jar. Every damn penny accounted for. Soul Kitchen. Hand-painted letters on a used truck I'd bought with the settlement money. Crooked but honest. Parked at King and Spring, right where downtown workers had to pass. Bobby, Miss Charlotte appeared day one, pepper basket full. That woman tried to strong-arm my prices, told her my peppers don't negotiate with folks who don't respect the soil. Word spread through Charleston's supplier underground. The farmers and fishermen Amanda had squeezed started finding my truck, not just for fair prices, but for dignity. My setup was minimal. Griddle, fryer, single burner for sauce. Every morning, 5 a.m., feeding the culture in my apartment. Miss one day and it suffers. Miss two and it dies. Like trust. Like reputation. Like everything Amanda thought was replaceable. First week was humbling, but Charleston loves an underdog. By week 3, lines formed at 11:30 sharp. This heat, a food blogger wrote, sweating through her review. It doesn't assault you. It builds like a conversation with an old friend who's got hard truths to tell. Marcus visited after his shifts. She's in free fall. 7th chef in 6 months. Nothing tastes right. She bought every hot sauce in 3 states trying to match yours. Won't work. She knows. That's why she's panicking. Southern Comfort's getting impatient. I discovered something beautiful running that truck. My elaborate techniques had been ego masquerading as art. The soul was simpler good ingredients, proper technique, and that irreplaceable culture adding depth to every dish. Derek helped me structure everything properly this time. Clean incorporation, trademark applications, process documentation. You're building a fortress, he observed. And I want in. I've got a group of investors who miss real food, not interested in investors. Not even ones who eat at your truck daily, who understand that some things can't be rushed. He had a point. These weren't venture vultures. They were Charleston locals who'd watched Amanda strip mine the restaurant's soul. They wanted to invest in its resurrection. 18 months in, Southern Comfort Foods started circling like sharks. Amanda had promised them something she couldn't deliver. Impressive operation, their scout noted, sampling my jambalaya. It's honest food. Our Charleston franchise isn't meeting projections. The signature sauce we were promised seems significantly different. I shrugged. Can't fake 15 years of evolution. He left his card. Derek filed it away. She's drowning. Desperate people make desperate moves. Let her. I'm busy cooking. But when the food blogger's comparison went viral, Soul Kitchen's $8 bowl has more soul than Hutchinson's Table's $28 version. I knew the tsunami would reach me eventually. $150,000 cash. Amanda's voice through my phone had lost its Wharton polish. For the complete process, the culture, the technique, everything. No, you're being spiteful. I'm being consistent. It was never for sale. Not during marriage, not after. Silence. Then venom. I know about Carolina Spice LLC. Mutual destruction, Robert. Think about it. Derek was ecstatic when I told him. She just confessed to fraud on a recorded line. She's desperate and stupid. She's desperate, never stupid. The pressure intensified. Her lawyer called, then her father, then investors I recognized from charity galas, all wanting to buy what couldn't be sold. Not just the culture. The idea that success could be purchased rather than cultivated. Marcus brought intelligence nightly. Southern Comfort's suing her for breach. She promised proprietary recipes she doesn't own. Banks calling in loans. She's got maybe 3 months. Not my problem. Could be your opportunity. That's when Derek revealed his full plan. His investor group wasn't random food lovers. They were Charleston restaurateurs who'd watched Amanda's scorched earth approach with horror. They wanted to restore Hutchinson's table properly. We've been positioning for 2 years, he explained, waiting for her to implode. When she needs to sell, we're ready. Fair market value, all legal. You return as executive chef and majority owner. That's calculated. That's justice, with proper documentation. The timeline stretched longer than expected. Criminal investigations move like molasses, but pressure mounted from all sides. Health inspectors started harassing my truck, anonymous complaints about dangerous fermentation practices. Each visit found nothing, but the pattern was clear. Document everything, Derek insisted. She's creating evidence of harassment. The breaking point came when a biochemist approached my truck. I'll pay $30,000 for a complete bacterial analysis of your culture. For research. Amanda sent you. $50,000. Leave, now. That night, Derek filed the criminal complaint. Wire fraud, embezzlement, harassment. She crossed every line. Time to push back legally. I just want to cook. And you will, in your own restaurant. Again. Properly this time. 2.5 years after the divorce, the investigation was building steam. Federal prosecutors loved clean cases with clear documentation. Carolina Spice LLC was a prosecutor's dream. Fake invoices, shell company, hundreds of thousands stolen. The next morning, feeding my culture, I realized something profound. Amanda thought this was about the sauce. She never understood it was about showing up every day, feeding something bigger than yourself, building slowly while others grabbed quickly. She'd stolen my restaurant, but not my discipline. And discipline, it turns out, compounds better than any investment. Rain hammered Charleston the night Amanda appeared at my truck. 3 years since the divorce, and she looked like she'd aged 10. No Louboutins now, just sneakers and desperation. We need to talk. No charm left, just raw need. I kept serving customers. The line watched her, recognizing the drama. Charleston loves dinner theater, especially when it's real. The restaurant's drowning, she continued, rain streaming down her face. Southern Comfort sued and won. Feds are investigating Carolina Spice. I need that culture. It's not for sale. I'll give you the restaurant back. Full ownership. Just give me the culture and teach me the process. Derek stepped from behind the truck, legal folder in hand. Actually, you'll be selling the restaurant to our investment group. Fair market value, which given the liens and debt isn't much. Her face went white. You orchestrated this. No, I said, finally meeting her eyes. You orchestrated this when you created Carolina Spice LLC, when you embezzled from our business, when you tried to sell recipes you didn't understand. We just stayed ready. The investigation will proceed regardless. Federal prosecutors don't care about restaurant sales. She stood there, rain mixing with what might have been tears. The woman who'd worked every angle finally out of moves. I really thought I was the brains, she said quietly. You cooked. I built the empire. You built a house of cards. I fermented a foundation. No dramatic arrest. No vindication scene. Just a woman who'd confused extraction with creation, finally understanding the difference. Derek handed her the offer papers. Fair market value, enough to cover most debts. The culture, she said one last time. 15 years of mornings. I watched you feed it. Thought you were wasting time. Time's never wasted when you're building something real. She signed in the rain, hand steady despite everything. Amanda was many things, but never weak. Just pointed in the wrong direction. For what it's worth, she said, handing back the papers. The food was always incredible. I just thought I could improve the business model. You can't improve soul. You can only honor it or strip mine it. She left without the umbrella Derek offered. Pride intact, if nothing else. We watched her disappear into the rain. Feel vindicated? Derek asked. I feel tired and ready to cook in a real kitchen again. The sale closed in 60 days. The federal case proceeded slowly. 2 years later, she'd plead to lesser charges, probation, and restitution. Amanda moved to Atlanta, started fresh in commercial real estate. Sometimes the best punishment is letting people live with their choices. But that night, standing in the rain with my culture safe and my future secure, I just felt grateful. Not for revenge, but for persistence. 1 year later, Marcus and I stood in Hutchinson's table. Same bones, new soul. The renovation was intentional, less Instagram, more integrity. Feels right, Marcus said, testing the rebuilt grill. Should. We're cooking for Charleston, not algorithms. The truck kept running. Lunch crowds who'd supported the comeback deserved loyalty. Young cooks learned the morning ritual, understanding that consistency builds empires. Every day, I taught them, watching them tend the culture. Not when you feel like it, not when it's convenient. Every single day. Miss Charlotte's first delivery made me tear up. Welcome home, Bobby. My peppers missed this kitchen. Just the peppers. Maybe the chef, too. The menu stayed focused. 8 items, each one deep with flavor. That culture adding complexity money couldn't buy. Fair prices, respect for suppliers, dignity for staff. Everything Amanda had squeezed for margin, we expanded for soul. Heard she's doing well in Atlanta, Marcus mentioned during prep. Good. Waste makes nobody happy. No bitterness? Bitterness ruins the sauce. The review that mattered most came from a regular who'd followed the whole journey. Hutchinson's table finally tastes like itself again. Like coming home after a long, strange trip. That morning ritual anchored everything. 5 a.m., feeding the mother, watching it bubble and breathe. Ugly, essential, irreplaceable. Some things can't be stolen because they only exist in the practice. Derek's investment group made their money back in 18 months. They understood what Amanda never did. Good restaurants are gardens, not oil wells. You cultivate, you don't extract. Any regrets? Derek asked over our success dinner. Just one. I wish I'd trusted my gut sooner. Guts lie. That's why we keep receipts now. We laughed, toasting with bourbon that burned less than the lessons learned. The culture will outlive us all. That's what Amanda never grasped. Some things aren't owned. They're stewarded. And the difference between owning and stewarding is the difference between a restaurant and a legacy. Now every morning, feeding that culture, I think about time. How it's not money, but compound interest. How showing up daily builds things that can't be stolen, only abandoned. The restaurant thrives because I never stopped doing what I loved, just learned to protect it better. And that's the real recipe. Consistency, documentation, and a jar of ugly bacteria that's worth more than gold. 5 a.m., every day, forever. That's how you build something real.